First of all, your comments are disgusting. I've served my country.
I've served my country
for 34 years.
I find your comments
this is out of
disgusting
control.
as well.
I've served my country for 34 years. And yes, I held a 5-year-old boy in my arms in back of that tractor trailer. I knelt down beside him and said a prayer for him because I knew what his last 30 minutes of his life were like. And I had a 5-year-old son at the time. What I've been trying to do my 34 years serving my nation is to save lives. So for you to sit there and insult my integrity and my love for my country and for children, that's why this whole thing needs to be fixed.
These egregious and cruel conditions and policies are not accidental. Mr. Holman, during your time as acting ICE director, deterrence was the order of the day for you. The memo bears that out, exactly what you planned for. The Trump administration claimed they had no choice but to rip children from their parents because they were criminally prosecuting the parents pursuant to zero-tolerance policy. Again, and policies that the administration created and that you, Mr. Holman, accepted, enforced, and championed, as we've seen. Let me remind everyone that the Trump administration tried to ban asylum seeking and started the process of metering, which then prevents people from coming through legal ports of entry. That exacerbated the crisis. People are desperately waiting months just to get in line and be granted the inalienable rights to due process. Mr. Holman, you have said that most immigrants are, quote, not criminals other than the criminal act that they do when they enter the country illegally. That is why I think we ought to revisit decriminalizing desperation, striking sections 1325 and 1326 of Title VIII of the U.S. Code, the statutes that the administration has leveraged to separate thousands of children from their families. Mr. Holman, do you understand that the consequences of separation of many children will be lifelong trauma and carried across generations? Have we not learned from the internment of Japanese Americans? Mr. Holman, I'm a father. Do you have children? How can you possibly allow this to happen under your watch? Do you not care? Is it because these children don't look like children that are around you? I don't get it. Have you ever held a deceased child in your arms?
First of all, your comments are disgusting. I've served my country.
I've served my country
for 34 years.
I find your comments disgusting as well.
I've served my country for 34 years. And yes, I held a 5-year-old boy in my arms in back of that tractor trailer. I knelt down beside him and said a prayer for him because I knew what his last 30 minutes of his life were like. And I had a 5-year-old son at the time. What I've been trying to do my 34 years serving my nation is to save lives. So for you to sit there and insult my integrity and my love for my country and for children, that's why this whole thing needs to be fixed. And you're the member of Congress.
We agree on that.
Fix it.
We agree on that, but I disagree. But I also disagree with your characterization of immigrants as prone to criminality.
People for 3 decades on this.
Gentleman's time has expired. It's my time now.
Mr. Chairman.
It's my time.
The gentleman ripped off about 7 different questions designed to go at the character of Mr. Holman, and Mr. Holman should be given a chance to respond. It was ridiculous, the way he just rattled them all off and wouldn't let him respond to them.
Let me say this. I understand that, but first of all, I'm going to have civility in my hearings. All right? I have the floor.
I understand, and I agree with you.
I'm going to have civility. That's why I was banging, so that we could hear each person speak. I have been very courteous and very kind. Now, Mr. Holman, do you have something to say?
No one in this room has seen what I've seen in my 34-year career.
Very well.
No one has experienced what I've experienced. I've saw many dead bodies coming across this border. And you want to talk about the memo? This memo is one option to stop death. Not just about enforcing the law, stop death. If you want to legalize illegal immigration, good luck with that, because it's going to get a hell of a lot worse on that border. If you say, okay, from now on, there will be no consequence, no deterrence. It's not illegal to come to this country illegally. More families would come. 31% women would be raped. More children would die. We're a nation of laws. If you don't like it, sir, change it. You're the legislator. I'm the executive branch, and I've served my country honorably for 34 years. And I will not sit here and have anybody say that I don't care about children because you're not the same color as my children.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Comer.
I have to begin with clarifying something that Representative Tlaib said in her opening remarks when we had the portion of the hearing when the legislators were asked to give remarks for 5 minutes. Representative Tlaib, you were offended by the term illegal and said we did not need to use the term illegal to describe certain people that were here in America, that no one was an illegal. But if anyone is in the United States of America unlawfully, then they are in fact an illegal. And I just want to clarify that, because when I go home to Kentucky, that's something that offends the overwhelming majority of people that watch what goes on in Congress, specifically in this committee. And let me be clear, this is not a manufactured crisis. This is a problem that is getting worse every day. Yet this Congress continues to do nothing about the real problem at the border. What I have not heard today in this hearing is a real solution to the problem. Just letting people go freely when they cross the border illegally constitutes open border. We cannot have that in America. And let me quote Jay Johnson in an op-ed, and he was President Obama's Secretary of Homeland Security. He said that we cannot embrace a policy, and I quote, "not deport those who enter or remain in this country illegally unless they commit a crime. This is tantamount to a public declaration, repeated and amplified by smugglers in Central America, that our borders are effectively open to all. This will increase the recent levels of monthly apprehensions at our southern border, about or more than 100,000 by multiples," end quote. He's right. President Obama's Secretary of Homeland Security is right about the real problem we have at the border. We have to get serious about this problem at the border. Mr. Holman, you're clearly an expert. What can Congress do to fix this problem?
They can close loopholes in asylum to make it meaningful. They can change the TVPRA where children in Mexico are, the children of Central America are treated the same way as children in Mexico. Once it's ascertained they're not a victim of trafficking, they can be removed. And they need to change the Florida Settlement Agreement. And I'm sitting here, and let me explain to you why I'm sitting here so frustrated. Because I'm the only one in this room that's wore a green uniform and been on that line. I'm the only one in this room that's found dead aliens on a trail that were abandoned by smugglers who just left them there because they weren't worth any money anymore. I'm the only one in this room that stood in the back of a tractor trailer surrounded by 19 dead aliens, including a 5-year-old little boy that suffocated in death in his father's arms. I was there, and I saw it, and I smelled it, and it's terrible. And I still have nightmares to this day. I was in Phoenix, Arizona, when you couldn't pay the smuggling fees. You were tortured. One person was stabbed in the face 22 times because you couldn't pay a smuggling fee. And we keep talking about open borders, abolish ICE, let's not detain anybody, let's let everybody go. That entices more people to come.
Exactly.
This isn't just about enforcing laws, it's about saving lives. I found enough dead bodies in my day. I got a stack of dead bodies here. I've seen a lot of pictures today, but no one wants to see these pictures, because they're angel moms and dads. These children were died here at the hands of people that crossed the border because we have an open border. The more we entice people to make this journey, more women, 31% of women are being raped. Children are dying. And I said months ago, if we don't close the loopholes, more women will be raped, more children will die. But it's like no one's listening.
Well, Mr. Holman,
we can fix this, sir. We can fix this. There's 3 things we can do to fix this. In Congress, if they don't like what ICE and CBP do, then do your job. Fix it. Congress has failed American people for 3 decades. I've been doing this job and fixing this. They'd rather point to the men and women of the border, to men and women of ICE who have an American flag on their shoulder and serve their nation. I'm extremely frustrated because what I've seen today is misleading the American people. People are dying, not in ICE custody. If you compare people that died in ICE custody to every state, federal system, we got the lowest rate. We got a hell of a lot lower rate than the city of New York. But no one wants to talk about this. We need to save lives. We need to secure our borders. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with a secure border.
Well, I can assure you, Mr. Holman, this side of the aisle is serious about securing the border. The president's serious about securing the border, and I hope that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle will get serious about securing the border so we can have a real solution to the problem that we have at the southern border. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mr. Jordan.
Mr. Holman, the actions you took when you were Director of ICE were entirely consistent with the law of the land, weren't they?
Yes, when someone's prosecuted for a crime, the child can't go to jail with the parent.
Yep.
That happens to American families every day.
Yeah, and if we, as you said, I think earlier, if we don't like the law, last time I checked, it's the folks sitting up here got to change it.
Yeah.
And you've offered, I think, no more than 4 times, 3 changes to the law that would help the situation. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Maybe make it a 5th time. Can you say it a 5th time for this group? Just, you know, because, again, we're the ones that have to change the law. So give us that recommendation a 5th time, the 3 things that we got to do.
If we would close the loopholes in the TVPRA, where children in Central America are treated the same as children in Mexico, if we would change the Florida settlement agreement so we can actually detain families in family setting long enough to see a judge and plead their case, if we can change the rules of asylum so it makes more sense so 90% of the people don't pass the first interview and a lot fewer pass in front of a judge, those 3 things would make a big difference on the border and decrease the illegal entry.
Because those 3 things go to the heart of the matter. They go to the incentive. Is that right?
They go to incentive along with the other things, such as talking about abolishing ICE, having no detention, free education,
Yeah.
free medical care, citizenship for those who are here illegally. When you keep offering incentives for people to come, sanctuary cities, come to this country, you'll be protected from ICE. As long as you keep having this language,
kind of
more people
statements,
who are
those kind of-
vulnerable people are going to keep trying to come.
Those kind of statements made by Democrats in the United States Congress or in positions of influence in this country, they have an impact, don't they?
They have a significant impact.
When a member of Congress says abolish ICE, when another member of Congress says abolish DHS, when the Speaker of the House says walls are immoral, when the person who gave the State of the Union response to the President's State of the Union says she's okay with non-citizens voting, that all has an impact, doesn't it? Just like the laws that you're sworn to uphold and impact and do when you're the Director of ICE.
It has a significant impact, and if this would have been fixed years ago, we probably wouldn't have seen zero tolerance. We wouldn't see the conditions on the border
But
today.
because the laws haven't been changed, because of the statements that have been made, there was a crisis. There is a crisis on the border. And that just didn't happen yesterday.
No.
Right? You think about this. There was a crisis. The administration asked for help. Democrats say it's contrived, it's manufactured, it's fake, it's not real. Then when the crisis, the real crisis, gets actually worse, the Democrats blame the administration for the very crisis they helped create by the things they said and the fact we won't change the law. But somehow it's your problem. Somehow it's the president's problem. And we have Ms. Costello, who went down there, her team went down there and looked this all over as the Inspector General, said there's some concerns that she has, and the cause of the concerns they're trying to ascertain. Now, she also said agents are doing, I think your statement was, agents are doing their level best. Is that right, Ms. Costello?
That's the experience of our inspectors
So the
at their visits.
Inspector General goes down there with your team, and you conclude the agents, the people that Mr. Holman used to represent, are doing their darn best they can do, but they're overwhelmed. And then you also said in your statement, in your answers a few minutes ago, you're trying to ascertain the cause. Well, that's pretty simple to figure out the cause. It's the numbers. In October, 60,000 apprehensions and inadmissibles on the border, October of last year. You know what it was in May of this year? 144,000. We know the cause. They're all coming. And they're coming because things the other side's saying, and the fact we won't change 3 fundamental things in the law. And it also might help, Mr. Holman, it also might help, because these are the ones that, these are apprehensions, these people presenting themselves at ports of entry. It also might help if we build a border security wall, right? Instead of having the Speaker of the House say they're immoral, even though there's one in her state, it might actually help if we built the border security wall that the American people voted this president in office to do. It might actually help if we did that. Would you agree, Mr. Holman?
Absolutely. Every place they built a border barrier, every single place they built a border barrier, illegal immigration decreased.
Yeah, it would help with some of the tragic things that we have heard about, tragic situations that we've heard about the last couple of days, this entire week in this committee, that no one wants to see happen. The young mother who lost her daughter, it's tragic. No one wants those, but if we did the things you're talking about, we could help avoid some of those kind of incidents from happening in the future. Is that right, Mr. Holman?
Yeah, if I can respond
And
to
you're
that.
you're the guy who has lived it, breathed it, felt it, managed it you know more than, you have more expertise in this area than anyone in this room. Is that right?
I believe so, but let me
I know
respond.
so.
Let me respond to the one child that died. It's tragic, tragic.
Sure is.
But you know, as long as we're showing a lot of pictures, if I can have just 30 seconds, here's a picture. Her name is Serenity. She was 9 months old, 9 months, raped and murdered by an illegal alien because of open borders policy. Here's Irana. She was 5 years old, raped repeatedly and murdered by an illegal alien. Here's Louise Solowin. She was 93, multiple rapes and murdered by an illegal alien. Here's a 16-year-old. Here's a law enforcement officer. I got hundreds of these in my desk drawer. So I've seen tears for people today, and I understand that. It's tragic when anybody dies. But let's not forget the angel moms and dads who I've all met and got to know. Their children died, and they're separated forever. It's not a matter of location. They're dead. And a secure border would help prevent some of this. Sanctuary cities does not help this. Sanctuary cities this will increase because of the push of sanctuary cities. Come to our country, we'll protect you. You can even commit a crime, be in our county jail. We're not going to ice into the jail. So he'll go out, recidivism rates, anybody can look them up. 50% reoffend the first year, up to 75 recidivate within 5 years. They're in the country illegally in violation of federal law. They're locked up in a county jail. Let us have access to them and do our job.